In the serene town of Strongville, Ohio, a tragedy unfolded that would forever alter the fabric of this tight-knit community. At the heart of this calamity was Mackenzie Shirilla, a high school girl whose actions led to a catastrophic event claiming the lives of two individuals. This story is not just a recount of those harrowing events, but an exploration into the complexities of human behavior, the ramifications of our actions, and the pursuit of justice in the aftermath of unimaginable sorrow. Strongsville, known for its peaceful neighborhoods and family-oriented atmosphere, became the backdrop for a narrative that seemed incongruous. With its tranquil setting, the events that transpired were not only shocking due to their severity, but also because of the young age of the individual responsible, Mackenzie Shirilla, by her own admission. During the trial, executed actions that most would find unfathomable, showing a disconcerting lack of remorse for her deeds. This account seeks to navigate the intricate details of this case, adhering strictly to the facts and evidence presented during the investigation and trial through an objective lens. We delve into the backgrounds of those involved, the sequence of events leading up to the tragedy, and the judicial process that followed. Our aim is to present a comprehensive overview that respects the sensitivity of the subject matter, while shedding light on the darker aspects of human nature in the heart of Strongsville, Ohio. Mackenzie Shirilla grew up as the youngest child in a family that strived to nurture their children with love care and a good education, born in August 2004. Mackenzie's early years were marked by the typical vibrancy and innocence of childhood. Her parents, John Sherrill and Natalie Stevens, dewed on their daughter, often forgiving her youthful mischiefs and misdemeanors, a leniency that would later shape Mackenzie's perception of consequences and personal accountability. As Mackenzie transitioned into adolescence, those around her began to notice a shift in her demeanor. From a delightful child, she evolved into a demanding and capricious teenager. Accustomed to having her desires met without question, her peers and educators observed a decline in her behavior, with instances of impatience, insolence, and even aggression becoming more frequent. This change was not just confined to her social interactions, but extended to her personal choices, including a troubling foray into alcohol and illicit substances. Parallel to Mackenzie's story is that of Dominic Russo, a young man born in September 2001, also in Strongsville. The fourth of 7 children, Dominic's upbringing was grounded in familiar closeness and a healthy lifestyle. He excelled academically, engaged actively in sports, and nurtured ambitions of becoming a music producer, a dream supported by his enrollment in a local university's performing arts program. Dominic's life was a tapestry of ambition, talent, and community, making him a well-regarded figure. Among his peers, the intersection of Mackenzie and Dominic's lives began in their late teenage years, a meeting that seemed to hold the promise of youthful romance. However, the stark contrast in their characters and life choices set the stage for a complex and tumultuous relationship. Mackenzie, with her striking looks and assertive personality, managed to capture Dominic's attention, drawing him into a whirlwind relationship that would have profound implications for both their futures. The tranquility of Strongsville was shattered in the early hours of a July morning in 2022, when an incident of chilling magnitude occurred, forever altering the lives of those involved and the community at large. At the center of this tragedy was Mackenzie Shirilla, whose actions behind the wheel of a car led to a catastrophic event, resulting in the loss of 2 lives including that of her once beloved Dominic Rousseau and an unintended victim, David Flanagan. The fateful night began under the guise of celebration, with Mackenzie and Dominic attending a party amongst friends. The atmosphere was buoyant, filled with the laughter and camaraderie, typical of youth gathering to the casual observer. Mackenzie and Dominic appeared reconciled, their affection for each other evident as they mingled with guests, their presence marking a notable highlight of the evening as a party wound down in the early morning hours. The decision for Mackenzie, Dominic, and David to leave together marked a pivotal moment despite slight reservations. Dominic and David agreed to Mackenzie's offer to drive an action that would have dire consequences. Unbeknownst to her passengers, Mackenzie harbored a sinister intent, fueled by a concoction of alcohol and illicit substances that she had consumed surreptitiously throughout the night. Mackenzie's actions as the driver were methodical, and deliberate surveillance footage from the area showed the vehicle initially adhering to traffic regulations, betraying no signs of the impending horror. However, as they veered onto a less traveled road, the car's speed escalated alarmingly, a clear deviation from Mackenzie's previously cautious driving. The chosen site for this tragic act was an isolated industrial area away from prying eyes and the likelihood of intervention here. Mackenzie directed the vehicle at an alarming velocity toward a solid brick wall, an act of unimaginable recklessness and finality. The impact was devastating instantly, claiming the lives of Dominic and Davin, while Mackenzie, secured by her seatbelt and shielded by airbags, survived with serious injuries. The investigation that followed pieced together the harrowing sequence of events leading up to the crash. Evidence collected from the scene, including the lack of skid marks and the vehicle's trajectory, pointed to a chilling conclusion. This was no ordinary accident, but a deliberate act. Further scrutiny revealed Mackenzie's troubling history of behavioral issues and substance abuse factors that painted a complex picture of her motivations. The aftermath of the tragic crash in Strongsville initiated an exhaustive investigation, spearheaded by local law enforcement with the support of forensic experts. The scene, a grim tableau of twisted metal and shattered lives, spoke volume. Yet, it was the subtle clues and painstakingly gathered evidence that would eventually piece together the narrative of that fateful night. Initial assessments of the crash site suggested a violent collision with the car's wreckage, telling a story of high velocity and direct impact. The absence of skid-on marks near the crash site raised immediate suspicions among investigators, suggesting that the car had been driven into the wall without any attempt to brake or swerve. This critical piece of evidence contradicted the notion of a typical traffic accident, hinting at a more sinister possibility. The investigation's early focus was on Mackenzie, Shirilla, the sole survivor and the driver. At the time of the crash, her condition initially hampered direct questioning, but medical tests revealed the cocktail of alcohol and drugs in her system, substances known to impair judgment and motor skills. These findings added a layer of complexity to the case, suggesting substance-induced recklessness as a potential factor. However, as Mackenzie regained consciousness and her statements to medical personnel began to surface, the narrative took a darker turn. She confessed in moments of lucidity to having intentionally driven into the wall at high speed, a chilling admission that shifted the focus of the investigation from accident to intentional act. The investigators delved deeper, seeking to understand the motive behind such a drastic action. they uncovered a tumultuous relationship between Mackenzie and Dominic, marked by intense emotional turmoil, and Mackenzie's increasingly erratic behavior. Friends and acquaintances painted a picture of a young woman consumed by obsession and jealousy, unable to accept the end of her relationship with Dominic. Surveillance footage from the area leading to the crash site became a pivotal piece of evidence. It showed the vehicle's calm progression through the streets before making a sudden decisive turn towards the industrial area, aligning with Mackenzie's admission of intent. This footage, coupled with witness testimonies about Mackenzie's previous threats towards Dominic, fortified the case against her. The discovery of a prior reconnaissance trip by Mackenzie to the crash site area further compounded suspicions. Witnesses recalled seeing her car in the vicinity days before the tragedy, suggesting premeditation and planning. This piece of evidence was crucial in framing the narrative of the investigation, indicating AL lives of Dominic Russo and Davin Flanagan. Additional charges pertained to her use and possession of controlled substances, further complicating the legal battle she was about to face. The legal proceedings unfolded with a somber air as prosecutors presented a narrative of premeditation and reckless disregard for human life, anchored firmly in the evidence collected during the investigation. The defense faced the daunting task of humanizing Mackenzie, attempting to contextualize her actions within the framework of her troubled adolescent substance abuse issues and the turbulent relationship with Dominic. They argued for a nuanced understanding of her mental state, suggesting diminished capacity due to her intoxication and emotional turmoil. At the time of the incident, conversely, the prosecution methodically built a compelling case against Mackenzie, leveraging the wealth of forensic evidence, surveillance footage, and Mackenzie's own incriminating statements. They painted a picture of a deliberate act, driven by a desire for revenge against Dominic with Davin's death, a tragic collateral. The prosecution underscored the premeditation evident in Mackenzie's prior visits to the crash site and her history of threatening behavior towards Dominic. The trial saw a parade of witnesses, each contributing pieces to the complex puzzle of Mackenzie's actions and mindset. Friends and acquaintances recounted instances of Mackenzie's volatile behavior and explicit threats made towards Dominic, casting a shadow on her character and intentions. Perhaps most damning were the testimonies regarding Mackenzie's expressed desire to enact violence using a vehicle, a chilling prelude to the actual event. The emotional testimonies from the families of Dominic and Davin added a poignant layer to the proceedings, humanizing the immense loss and painting a vivid picture of the ripple effects of Mackenzie's actions. These testimonies served not only to underscore the severity of the crime, but also to remind those present